Hey there, guys. This is Reckles with WTBGold, and today is the day that World of Warcraft killed multiboxing. I'm kind of sad. I'm sure I had a lot of fun over the past year testing out this gold making strategy and seeing where it came from, where it's going, and seeing the potential of using multiple accounts. It's something that I always stayed away from, but since it was so obviously the future of where WoW was going, and since Blizzard had done so much to create this as a possibility, as like a guided hand, like this is the game style they designed for us. I decided to finally test it out, and it was a lot of fun. If you are sad about the actions they recently took, I'm sorry. My condolences. I know a lot of people have been doing it for the past 16 years, 13 years, 10 years, and just really love the best way I can describe it. If you guys out there don't multi-box, the way I can describe it, you don't have as much one-on-one love for your individual characters, like each individual character you don't love, but you love the group. It's like, it's not necessarily like a familial love, like a big family. It's more like how a raid leader has love and respect for his raid team. How like the raid team as a whole kind of becomes its own thing. And so if you are losing that or deciding to get rid of that after lots of years, my condolences. That said, if anyone out there is got ganked by a multiboxer 2.5 years ago, or someone flying around and beat you to a node and they had 10 druids and they stole the whole node and you had your name tag on the node, so you claimed it. If anyone out there has like hatred, please keep that to yourself, or write out a comment, get that hate out of your body, and then rather than submitting it, like highlight the whole comment and then delete it, because this hurts a lot of people's feelings. They're trying their best to play the game according to WoW's rules, ethically, and now Blizzard's pulling the rug out from underneath them. So a lot of people are hurt by this. No one wants to hear that the reason why you love playing a particular game makes you a bad person. And there have been some pretty vicious posts that I've read that are uncalled for. So if you love multi-box, or if you love Mythic Plus or raiding, you don't want to hear people say raiders are the scum of the earth. You don't want to hear that. So let's all be nice. Let's all be civil. Let's get into it. So this is the official announcement. Interesting policy update for input broadcasting software. And we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this. Interestingly, right off the bat, it's not written by one of the community managers. It's anonymous by Blizzard Entertainment as a whole. So it's interesting that they're doing it anonymously. I'm going to use my erotic fan fiction voice for this. As World of Warcraft has evolved, our policies have also evolved to support the health of the game and the needs of the players. We've examined the use of third-party input broadcasting software, which allows a single keystroke or action to be automatically mirrored to multiple game clients. And we've seen an increasingly negative impact to the game, as this software is used to support botting and automated gameplay. The use of input broadcasting software that mirrors keystrokes to multiple WoW game clients will soon be considered an actionable offense. We believe this policy is in the best interests of the game and the community. And then they go on to say that they're going to give a warning, and then they're going to give a harsher warning, and then they're going to actually take action against you. So, blah, blah, blah. What is going on here? So, first things first, what did they actually say? What is the official post? So let's just copy this part and let's paste it in. What does it mean? So here we go. We're gonna go in and we're gonna just go through and we're gonna delete anything that's fluff. and we're just going to get to like what they're actually saying. What does Blizzard mean by all this? And then here's another. Okay, so as World of Warcraft has evolved, blah, blah, blah. Our policies have also evolved to support the health of the game and the players, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you care about the game. We get it. We've examined the use of third-party input broadcasting software. Okay. Which allows a single keystroke or action to be automatically mirrored to multiple game clients. Okay, that's just repeating the definition. So that's redundant. And we've seen an increasingly negative impact. Okay, increasingly negative. That's fine. But blah, blah, blah. As, you know what? This whole... that can go is used to support botting and automated gameplay. The TOS definition of botting is automated gameplay, so that's just being redundant. The use of input broadcasting software that mirrors the keystroke. Okay, so again, we're defining it again. Will the use of input broadcasting software will soon be considered an actionable offense? I'm just going to say is against TOS now. And we believe this policy is in the best interest. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You care about the game. So and you know what? We've examined the use of third-party input. I hope they actually looked at this before they did anything. So, here's what we got. This software is used to support botting. And you know what? This can actually be changed to, we'll take away the passive voice here. Botters use, this software. And you know what? Rather than being vague, let's just be specific and talk about the software that is being affected by this. There's hotkey.net and ISBoxer. In general, those are the two big players right now. So the use of input broadcasting software. So again, we're just going to ISBoxer. So here we go. Botters use ISBoxer. ISBoxer is against the terms of service now. This argument doesn't make me happy. Here's a hammer. I can hammer nail with this. I can use it as a lever. If I'm ever trapped inside my car, I can use it to bash a window out. I can use it. This end's kind of sharp, so like maybe I could use it to chop down a tree if I wanted to. I could also use it to kill a man. So, then there are people who have. So, this hammer could be used to kill a man, and people have used an object to do bad things. So this object should now be made illegal. That is not a good argument. It's literally just the gun control argument, and I mean, I don't want to get political, but like the basic idea of guns kill people, so we should ban all guns. That's wrong. Wherever you stand on like automatic rifles and all that, I don't want to get into that. But like the base argument of people use items to do bad things, therefore ban all items, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work. Let's dive into this a little bit more. So, is multiboxing still allowed? I mean, obviously, they are saying multiboxers are just getting caught up in the crossfire. Yes, multiboxers use this software, and so multiboxing isn't like they're going after botters with this, and it just sucks that botters use this software, so we're canceling the software. So regular people who own guns or whatever, like it sucks that you're getting caught up in this. Thank you for being operating the way you're supposed to, but some people ruin the fun for everyone. That's essentially what they're saying here. So multiboxing, this is the old post. Multiboxing is not a violation of our terms of use. We do not support multiboxing tools. So that was their official stance. This was updated to multiboxing is not a violation of our terms of service. Please note, however, that the use of input broadcasting software may result in account penalties. For more information, read the forum post that we just read. So, that's where they stand now. It's still illegal. Or it's still legal. You can still multi-box if you want. In fact, if you've never like really seen multi-box, or you've only seen it specific ways, this is all it is. It's just minimizing the game client, and you just have a bunch of them open at once. And so like you can absolutely still give Blizzard money or play for free with WoW tokens, and that's fine. You can still have one minor herbalist. You can put all your drones on follow and follow along a minor herbalist and loot all the herbs you want. You just have to go through and manually click, 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 click. You have to just manually go through and click on the node on each thing. So each herb node is going to take an additional 2 to 5 seconds. But it's still possible. They aren't saying officially that multi-boxing isn't allowed, but I don't entirely believe them. I'm not confident enough to call them like liars and to ask them to start being freaking honest with us, but I'm almost there. So here we go. This is from way back in 2008. Is using a keyboard to send signals to multiple instances of WoW automation. Using a keyboard set up like that, like what you're describing, is not automation. This is a blue post. Setting up a macro with a keyboard that would automatically press fireball is automation. So when you press spacebar and your character jumps, it's okay if a second character jumps and a third character jumps. That's fine, because if you look at the third character and you ignore everyone else, that character is jumping, and you follow the line back, that character is jumping because a human pressed a button. Now, can you play with your feet? Yeah. If you don't have hands and you have a foot pedal, you can play with your feet and you can press jump with your feet. If you don't have hands or feet, there are people who play fully voice control, and move left, move right, stop, regrowth, player 1, regrowth, player 3. There are people who play like that, and it's amazing to watch them. And that, even though they're using third-party software and third-party tools, and they're not physically pressing key presses, the moral of the story is that Blizzard wants every action a character does to happen because a person did it. Is using third-party software, does third-party software mean botting or automation? Again, clarifying, way back in 2008, is sending an identical signal to all clients or windows. It is not automation. However, if it's playing the game for you, it is automation. Does multiboxing give player an in-game advantage? Yes. So does grouping, and we're gonna talk all about that. Therefore, can multiboxing be considered an exploit? No, it's an alternative playstyle. Not everyone can do it, but if a person is willing to devote the concentration and capital to such a venture legitimately, we're perfectly fine with it. 5 multiboxed accounts can be feared and CC'd just like 5 solo accounts. So, moving on, as a soloist, I push one key and one thing happens. As a multiboxer, I push a key and 5 things happen. This is clarified to, as a soloist, you push a key and one thing happens on your account. As a multiboxer, you push a key and one thing happens on each of your accounts. Doesn't that mean there's a double standard, that they're allowing automation? There's no double standard. You press one button, you get one action per account. They press one button, they get one action per account. So I hope this is drilling home. We're starting to get repetitive here, but I hope it's drilling home that, like, a human did a thing and the character did a thing. That's what happens. Bright light. Sorry for not warning you. Argument people bring up, an argument I've heard in response to this is that I still consider it automation. That, you know, it's fine if Blizzard says these are the rules, but I still think but I still don't like it. And so this is kind of the response to that. You can quote the definition: automation is automatically controlled operation of an apparatus, process, or system by mechanical or electronic device that takes the place of human labor. And the Blizzard response to that is, by that definition, a macro available in game could be considered automation. A macro will often do more than one thing, but no more than the system allows. Additionally, the key cloning program can do the same thing as if you were to attach a single keyboard to multiple computers, which would not be considered automation any more than if one keyboard were to control a single character. Otherwise, no one would be able to play at all. So, this means we can add that according to Blizzard, input broadcasting software does not automate. And so we're going to change from botters to automated players. Because now that we have a specific definition of automation and we're all agreeing on the term of what automation means, automated players use ISBoxer, which does not automate. ISBoxer is against the terms of service now. So, I bet automated players also use Google Chrome, and they also use Discord. I bet they also use Windows 10. Some of them use LVUI. Some of them use Recount to see their damage numbers. Some of them use Addons to vendor their grays. So those don't cause them to automate. Those don't cause them to do the illegal thing. This is saying like automated players use hammers to kill people, but they also use screwdrivers. So now screwdrivers are illegal. Like that's what this is. That's what, now that we've clarified terms, that's what this means. And that's why I don't entirely trust Blizzard here, that they're actually targeting bots. Here's another one more little foray into technicalities. Here is the Blizzard End User License Agreement, the EULA. This is important to read. I know you skip it, but if you play the games, I highly recommend you read through it because it's a bunch of hoosafudge. All right, for 1A8, we're going to go down and read: Blizzard shall have the right to monitor and or record your communications when you use the platform, and you acknowledge that you don't expect them to be private. So this makes sense. Like, I don't, if I type a whisper to someone and I say something hateful, I would expect Blizzard to have a log of that and be able to go back and be like, yeah, you were a jerk. Bye. Like, you can't be that much of a jerk in our game. That's hate speech. Get out of here. Like, I would expect Blizzard to be able to have access to that. But what do they mean by communication? Because they don't clarify only communication inside the game. So if I say something hateful on Twitter, by this, Blizzard has access to it. But surely they only care about the stuff inside the game. Well, let's go down to C4, consent to monitor. While running, the platform may monitor your computer or mobile device's memory for unauthorized third-party programs running either concurrently with a game or out of process. You give them access to everything you're saying and everything that's happening on your computer. You give them full access to your computer whenever you play the game. They do. They scan your computer every time you log into the WoW. Now, before you get too paranoid or before you get freaked out or like, oh my gosh, this is normally like botting iron docks or, botting raw gold farms, having a bunch of boomkins running around moon firing and looting things automatically without someone playing it. I don't like that. I think it ruins the fun of the game. It misses the point of the game. I think it's bad for the markets. Blah blah blah. But a lot of that is gold farmers selling gold to other players, and that puts their accounts at risk. It's just a bad time. But there are also. There was a arena macro that people could press, and when you press the macro in 2v2 combat, your opponent's game would crash, and it would crash so hard that it would actually lock up your opponent's PC, and the only way to fix it was to manually restart your computer. There was a macro you could press in game that crashed your opponent's computer. So that is, I would put that in a different class than like wall hacking or having. I would put that in a different class than a mining bot. Like, this is malicious. And then there's also people who go above and beyond and send millions and millions of login attempts to Blizzard to DDoS them and ruin, like make it worse for everyone so we can't log into the game. That is costing Blizzard a lot of money. So that's usually what they're looking for with this. So next, we'll move over and look at what a bot. This is WRobot. This is for private servers, but things like this are used for botting public servers. And I don't want you feel free to go look at this and see how it works. But here you can see all these little dots, and it's always scanning the terrain, and it has you can see where it's flying, and you can use it for PvP and node gathering, and there's an executable running in the background, and you can control how it's operating and how it's doing everything that it's doing. So this is what botters do. So getting back to here, automated players use ISBoxer. They also use automation software. So they also use automation software. And now we also know that Blizzard has access to your memory to see what software is running. So Blizzard has access to your memory, so this is how they would enforce the input broadcasting software that doesn't automate. But they also use automation software, and Blizzard has access, just as much access to that. So botting is already against the terms of service. They already have access to see if you're using automation software. So and in Classic, I think a couple months ago, they banned like 70,000 bots. So they know how to identify them. They have the ability to identify them, and they have the justification to get rid of them. So why target a separate group? Why target a separate group to get rid of botters if you already have your systems in place? You can already run through the checklist. Blizzard is using the excuse of botting to stop multiboxers from farming the way they are currently farming. So with all that said, what about other options? What can you do now? We already know that multiboxing is still legal, so that's fine. You can still log in. You can still have everyone follow along. You can still click on individual nerds. Let's be honest. If you're multiboxing, you're a huge nerd. But you can load up on a Brutosaur. You can do cancel scans while you're doing a raid. You can have someone smelting while you're doing a raid. You can have someone doing enchants and shuffles, and you can do. I'm probably going to keep 8 accounts running and build up a crafting empire on each of the 4 servers that I'm really actively playing on, and just seeing how the current content gear sells differently depending on the server size and the player base. I think that's going to be a really interesting test, so we can finally say once and for all, like, here's how much gold you can make with each profession, and we can do. So I'm excited about expanding and doing that. It's just going to be a lot harder now that I have to individually, like, now that I can't broadcast. It's gonna be a pain. So that's the thing. It's going to be a pain. Should you use ISBoxer? We don't know. The creator of ISBoxer, Lax, he sent a message to Blizzard asking for clarification. Specifically, like it says, the use of input broadcasting software will be considered an actionable offense. It's not technically, it's not saying mirroring keystrokes is going to be an actionable offense. It's saying the use of software that has that capability is going to be an actionable offense. But the problem with that is I think every NVIDIA driver has the ability to broadcast inputs. There's lots of like just baseline software that does it. So if they're saying using that software, like we don't want to get too bogged down in the technicalities. That's the main thing I'm saying here. Here is an old Mega Mux. What is it? Multiplexer. I just learned about these, and that you can essentially hardware multibox. There are people who used to like have wooden dowels that they drilled nails into, and they pressed all 8 mice at the same time. They had multiple machines, and that's how they'd multibox. They physically had 3 different computers running the game at the same time, and that's how they multiboxed back in the day. So does that mean you can just swap over and use hardware? Does that mean you can use KVM software? This is a software version of it. I would recommend staying away from that. As someone in the ISBoxer Discord, which if you want to follow along with this as it develops, go join the ISBoxer Discord. As they said, now is not the time to look for loopholes, specifically because of the vibe that we're getting from what we just picked apart. Like, if you know how Blizzard has defined automation over the years, you know that this is a really strange, complete 180 on, like, synchronous is fine, automation isn't. Synchronous is fine, automation isn't. They've been saying that for 16 years, and now they're saying automation is against the rules and synchronous is used by botters, so synchronous isn't allowed anymore. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's just you're not targeting. So, like, lay low. If you choose to continue multiboxing, I would don't use I would recommend you not use ISBoxer. Do what you want. Let's see. It literally changes nothing. Set, follow, right click on herbs and never leave flight form. Yeah. So, sorry, this post got lost in all my tabs. Savinla asked specifically about ISBoxer, and Varacthus said that I'm afraid we can't comment on specific software. Multiboxing software tends simply to reproduce your keystrokes across multiple World of Warcraft clients. In that case, there generally isn't anything wrong with it. It isn't a supported playstyle, but neither is it prohibited. If the program provides any kind of automation, even if you do not use it, that would cause an issue. So this complicates things, but like they understand how multiboxing works. This just further supports that, like, they understand specifically about ISBoxer and what it does and what it doesn't do, and the idea that if the software has the capability of doing things, they'd recommend against using the software. So you can carry that forward if you want to. If multiboxing has the capability of getting you banned, you should stop multiboxing. That's kind of a slippery slope, but maybe that's the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so the biggest thing, though, what can you do now? You can keep multiboxing. You should probably pause ISBoxer for a little while. If you just want to quit and you're like, I'm done, I'm angry, refund. I want a refund. You can go and ask for a refund if you purchase Shadowlands. I'm probably going to get a refund on my accounts 9 through 16, and there's going to be a lot of gold, a lot of BattleNet balance. We were unable. Some people haven't been lucky. We were unable to refund your edition because the purchase character boost has been used on the account. So if you use the boost, or if you have too much time played, or if you have they aren't refunding under those situations. Sometimes they're also not refunding game time all the time. Like, some people, you can ask, like, hey, can you put the game time over on my active accounts? And sometimes they'll do it, sometimes they won't. So it's what is it, the customer service, the GM roulette, where you're just hoping you get a nice GM. But this is someone who got everything refunded, and I'd like to refund my Blizzard balance for the following orders. Listed them out. These refunds should be for accounts blank, 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 and blank. The blank account should remain untouched. Thank you. And if possible, could I get a refund for the order blank 6-month subscription time that was just changed, I believe, for my WoW 4 account? And the response to that post is, I understand that you want a refund. I'll do my best to help you. Looked into your account. You were only able to refund the Shadowlands orders, not the 6-month subscription. The money should be back in your account, but it'll be faster if it's game time or if it wasn't actually cash. Please note that regarding this procedure, you'll have to at least the previous 30 days without playing, and I can only recover a minimum of 30 days and a maximum of 90 days. Also, these days have to be used all at once. I perfectly understand that this is not the answer you're looking for. I'm doing my best. It's a pleasure to help you. And here is the Blizzard balance after that. So, what can you do now? Keep boxing. Not stop ISBoxer, pause ISBoxer until we get clarification. I do think it's kind of a bro move that Blizzard didn't let the developers of ISBoxer and HotkeyNet know ahead of time, because these are people that, like, their rent, like paying their mortgage, depends on this. So pause ISBoxer. Don't look for loopholes. Another question, another loophole I've heard is, okay, we can't broadcast inputs, but what about round robin? What about I press a button and it sends the action to character 1, then character 2, then character 3, then character 4. So, like, every time you press the button, it sends it to the next character. That is, like, I think we need to read between the lines, see that they're straight up lying to us. It goes against everything they've ever said. So there's something happening that they aren't being clear about. So we need to not try to find, like, but you didn't say XYZ, because they could be like, we don't care, you're gone. Like, they could, don't test them right now. I think here's something. So there was a forum post by Kai Kira, who said some poignant words and some obvious words that a lot of players are overlooking. So we have multiboxers provide a lot of supply when it comes to herbs, ore, leather, cloth, pets, mounts, reagents, crafted items that use herbs, ore, and cloth. So the price level of everything is going to drastically rise after this effect. So do you want this? All your gold just became meaningless. That's it. Like, I don't want to be, I'm being a little dramatic here, but essentially, everything you want to buy is going to be just so much more expensive than it currently is, and so much the price levels are going to be so much more volatile without a constant influx of high supply. Now, I do. I'll put a link to this post down in the comments, but essentially she walks through the creation of the flasks. In the worst case, flasks cost 100 of gold more, and just essentially the obvious point of there's going to be fewer people supplying goods on the auction house, fewer people undercutting in large amounts, so prices are going to rise. And the counter argument to this is that Blizzard cares more about parity. Like, right now, Blizzard is kind of painting themselves into a corner. And one of the reasons why Blizzard might genuinely want to put an end to multiboxing at such a popular level is that we do have. It does make it awkward. Like, one character can go out and kill about 500 current content enemies at a time. But in a group farm, which was made possible at the 7.0 Legion pre-patch when they introduced party loot, one each time one person kills something, all 5 members of the group get loot for it. That used to not be a thing for 7 of our 9 expansions, or 6 of our 9 expansions so far. That wasn't possible. So like with the start of Legion, it was possible to group farm, and so rather than one person getting 500 kills an hour, now you can get 2,000 current content kills per hour for the group, but that generates 2,000 bodies for this player and this player and this player. So we've gone from 500 kills generated for the server to 10,000 kills generated for the server, 20 times as much total loot in a group farm. And then we got even more min-maxy, and we did the 5 monks strategy, where 4 of the monks get naked, and that the aggro of the monk in the center over pulls from the monks on the perimeter, and so the monks on the perimeter pull the guys way far away, and then they come to their statue, and then they get pulled from their statue over to the statue of the monk in the middle, and the monk in the middle, oh my gosh. That was a strategy, and then we figured out how to do boomkins, and then okay, we can do 3 boomkins, a monk, and a twink demon hunter, and then we figured out that okay, this is 5 tags, and no one else can get tags after this. But what if this person drops group and joins up over here? Then you have there's a tag left over. This person can tag an enemy, and then this person who's not in their group can tag an enemy. But Blizzard wants anyone who's playing solo to be able to play with friends. So this person, anything they tag, if they're in a group with a buddy, their buddy also gets credit for the loot. Well, they can be in a group of 3 or a group of 4. So if this person tags the loot, then this person can now also tag the loot. All 4 of these people get the loot. All 4 of these people get the loot. So now we can have 8 people standing on top of each other. And the most kills per minute I've seen, an 8-man current content farm, the most kills per minute is 100, which is 6,000 kills per hour, which means times 8 tunes. That means multiboxers, the top end, the high end of multiboxers, are generating about 50,000 kills per hour. 50,000 lootable bodies per hour, which is 100 times more than solo farming. So that's how much fewer materials we're going to have after this goes into effect. That's going to drastically change markets. And so the bad thing, the reason why I do think it's bad is there's this thing called parity in WoW, where if you're on a large pop server, ore is going to be cheap. And so you go out and you grind, you farm up some ore, and you try to sell it, and you're like, ore is so cheap compared to other servers. But you use that ore to buy BOEs or mounts or whatever, but the mounts are also cheap. So maybe to buy a BOE, you need to mine ore for 5 hours, and then you can buy it. On a low pop server, mining ore, the ore is really expensive. People don't buy a whole lot of it, so it takes a little longer to sell, but you get a lot more gold for it, for your time invested. But there are fewer people selling the BOEs, there's less undercutting happening there, and so the prices of the BOEs are a lot higher, so it's still about 5 hours of farming ore to get the BOE. So that's parity. Your time investment is going to get you the same results. Now, on most servers, just like as an average, 1 hour of mining herbs and ore gets you about 10,000 gold. And that's something that we can see across pretty much every farm. That if you look at how much, every farm is going to be worth about 10,000 gold. Okay, so with this idea of parity, we can look at old content farms like the Crimson Whelpling to see why why I genuinely have kind of a problem with multiboxing, and why it makes a really frustrating and complicated design space for Blizzard, and how they approach nerfing farms and balancing out gold making for multiple different playstyles. So if 1 hour of mining herbs and ore is worth about 10,000 gold, that's going to last that's going to be the same for every farm out there, and it's probably going to balance itself out, where if there's a farm that makes a lot of gold, 50,000 gold an hour, then everyone's going to go do that. They're going to undercut each other until the farm's not as good, and then it's worth 30. Like a gold maker who puts out a guide saying this is a good farm, everyone goes and does it, and it's not as soon as they put out the guide, it kills the farm. Like that's what we're talking about here. That's the invisible hand doing its work and bringing everything down to the same hourly rate until people forget about it, and then the price goes back up, and then it becomes a good farm again. But you remembered what the guide maker said, so then you have the tools to go out and make as much gold as you want, ad infinitum. With this farm, we're going to look at the Tiny Crimson Whelpling. It has a 1 in 10,000 drop rate, and at the farm that you farm it at, you can get in a 5-man group somewhere around 5,000 kills an hour. So each person can generate on average 1 pet every 2 hours. So we would expect, and a little bit, you can honestly get about 6,000 to 7,000 kills an hour. So you can generate a pet every hour and a half on average, every hour and a half to 2 hours. You also get some raw gold, so maybe 1,000 or 2,000 raw gold. So we can just say that for 10,000 gold an hour every 2 hours, so this pet should be worth 20,000 gold. Maybe 20,000 is on the high end. Maybe 15 to 20,000 gold would be a good price range for this pet. Well, here is the Crimson Whelpling on the Undermine Journal, and this is a server that I play on that doesn't have any multiboxers that I'm aware of. 15,000 gold for the pet, but you can see this is way on the high end. And this is funny. Prices have already skyrocketed for these pets. On Zul'jin, the price of the Crimson Whelpling was down. Zul'jin has a lot of multiboxers. I know two other people besides me who run 16 accounts. I know 4 or 5 people who run 8 accounts, and then there's just a whole slew of people who have 5-man teams. So lots and lots of multiboxers, and this is just one of the easier farms out there to do. So the price of the Crimson Whelpling on those servers, if you think about it, 10,000 gold an hour, let's say that's still what current content farms can get you solo farming. If 1 hour is worth 10,000 gold, but now you're farming with a team of 5, then you, rather than generating 1 pet every 2 hours, you're generating 5 pets every 2 hours. You're generating 2.5 pets an hour. So 10,000 gold divided by 2.5, that's about 4K. So the Crimson Whelpling on Zul'jin was selling for about 4K. I've sold a bunch of them at 2,500 gold. The price has shifted. Yes, they'd like to sell them for 15 to 20,000 gold, but because 1 hour of your time is worth about 10,000 gold, the value falls down and balances out at that. So when a server enters a new paradigm of multiboxing and everyone kind of adjusts their parity levels, there's got to be a word for that I'm forgetting. When everyone adjusts how they approach things, then the people who aren't multiboxing are punished. Or they're not punished. It's just harder to sell Crimson Whelplings. You have to focus on the farms that are difficult for the multiboxers to do. Skinning farms and professions and farming transmog and things like that that the transmog farmers forget about, or that the multiboxers are unfamiliar with how to do it. So I think that's everything. There's lots of techie stuff that I may be mispronouncing. I'm like, when people start saying like the kernel authorization for the ISP hyperthreading is like, my eyes kind of gloss over and I don't know really what they're talking about. So sorry if I misspoke on anything. I do I think we could do a better job if Blizzard gave us more constant feedback. Before the Brutosaur removal announcement, there had been 2 times that Blizzard had communicated with gold makers in the past 4 years, something like that. It was, and one of them was like, here's Paul Cubitt saying like, here's what Blood of Sargeras does, and the other one was Blizzard blaming add-on like TSM and Auctioneer add-on users for posting things in singles when it's the default Blizzard UI that was posting that defaulted to singles. But that's in the past. I'm not salty about that still. I'm not salty about them throwing us under the bus. So Blizzard has been communicating more often. They let us know about the Brutosaur nerf. They let us know about the reasoning behind throttling, even though both of those are lies, and I can go through this a similar thing that we did in this video for each of those. I don't like that they're lying to us and throwing gold makers under the bus for their own mistakes. But I do think that it is possible for you to still multi-box. You can make a follow macro, make an invite macro and a follow macro for each of your tunes, and just go into each window and press those tunes. To my understanding, I expect that we'll still be able to use ISBoxer. EVE Online did a similar nerf, removed input broadcasting 2 years ago, and ISBoxer is still usable for EVE Online. There are just many fewer multi-boxers that use it. So I think I don't so create a group invite macro, create a follow macro. Decide how you're going to play long term, whether you're going to enjoy multi-boxing long term. Like, I can still go out to the Crimson Whelpling farm, and if I just sit there as one character and kill tunes, kill the enemies over and over, have Starfall running, and just Sunfire everything, I can still generate lots of kills, and I can just have my drones sitting and waiting and just loot on them, loot a big pile every 30 minutes and just go through each window one by one and loot every 30 minutes. I can still do that. So like, this is a buff for like, everyone's leaving. Blizzard, I did the math. I'm going to spare you from the math, but rough guesstimate, Blizzard lost 4 million. No. Oh, that's what it was. It was $4 million. That's what it was. I remember it was $4 million that they're having to refund for the for Shadowlands pre-purchases, and then they're missing out on $1 million a month in just WoW tokens. So that comes out to about $16 million a year that this is costing them, and that they're doing intentionally. Like, they're smart people. They know that this is about how much money we'd miss out on. But it's funny. So many people are asking for refunds that the customer service portal actually crashed. Like, so many people were asking for refunds that we broke the World of Warcraft website, which is just amazing. But you can, if you want to play, you can still make gold. You still can make gold with herbs and ore. It's just going to be harder. You can still probably be able to fish. We've seen multiboxing still be used in EVE Online, and it'll be, we have to see for clarification, but we'll get there. I think Blizzard is lying. I think this is a targeted attempt to stop multiboxing while saying that we're trying to stop botting. So they're trying to make everyone happy. It's a PR move that they're willing to lose. They're willing to lose the equivalent of $16 million in order to have solo account players happier, even though the solo account players will be unhappier long term. Like, this breaks the markets. This makes competition more volatile, prices higher, What's going to happen to the WoW token is going to be interesting. I think long term it's going to rise because we're going to have a higher price level overall, and we're going to be back to the days of massive inflation. But I do think that we're not going to have as many people buying WoW tokens to play each month, and we can actually put a number on that. Again, using the same estimate as the $16 million thing. 10,000 individual multi-boxers with an average of 5, just guesstimate average of 5 accounts each. That's 50,000 players, each buying a WoW token a month for 150,000. So that is 75. That's 7 billion gold a month. That's going from the rich players to the poor players. So that 7 billion gold wealth redistribution that happens every single month is now not going to be happening anymore. So the rich players are going to keep their gold. The poor players are not going to be able to get as much. So I think price levels are going to rise. The value of the WoW token is going to fall. So essentially, if the WoW token goes from 150,000 to 300,000, essentially a WoW token right now can buy you 1 BOE, but in the future, even though the WoW token will sell for 300,000, it'll only be able to buy you 2/3 of a BOE. That's what I think is going to happen. It'll be interesting to see that unfold. I don't know though. It's all guesstimate, and it really depends on the ratio of things. But that's it. You can do it. You can multi-box. I don't like this. It's Blizzard's own creation. They introduced the WoW token in Warlords of Draenor that allowed people to snowball. You can play the video game for free, and you can convert gold in the game into Blizzard Battle.net currency. They introduced node multi-tapping in Legion, which allowed people to follow along as a group and click on 10 nodes at once, and so then that made snowballing easier. You make gold on 2 characters, and then you make enough gold to buy a 3rd account with Battle.net currency that you get from the gold mining on those 2 characters, and then you have 3 characters, so then it's easier to buy a 4th and a 5th account, and a 6th and a 7th and an 8th account, and you just scale up and up and up. The other thing that introduced, we already talked about it, but it's the pre-patch 7.0 party loot change. This allowed people to not only make gold with gathering, but also you can stand still and you can farm the Crimson Whelpling or the Dune Scavenger or whatever standstill farm you're doing. Mirai did a really interesting video on whether or not standstill farms just inherently are ethical, like whether you're actually playing the game. I'll put a link to that video down below. Mirai is the granddaddy of World of Warcraft multi-boxing guides. He's a really, really smart, really cool guy. Knows everything about IS Boxers Wild. Then we had the Bruto introduction, getting everyone into gold making. Then we had the Hive Mind mount is 1 mind, 5 players. Everyone's taking the same position. Everyone's able to click. You're able to mine and herb from it. So it's a multi-boxing mount. I don't think it was really designed for multi-boxers, but everything about the design is like, no, this makes it easier for one person to control 5 different accounts at once and click on a node on everyone at the same time. Blizzard made it when Blizzard blamed gold makers and add-on developers for posting in singles, and they introduced the 20% auction house fee. We were super pissed off about it because we showed that it's the default UI that is the reason why things were posting in ones, and the auction house was so slow at the launch of BFA because Blizzard didn't listen to the gold making community, who was like, hey, you need to revamp this. You need to revamp this for the past 10 years. So they finally did. They started working with gold makers and the add-on developers. They started communicating back and forth and sending each other cookies and candy. And it was really fun to see the tweets and selfies of the TSM guys and Jeff Liu and his crew over at Blizzard, like eating each other's cookies. It was fun. But they finally worked with the gold making community, started asking questions to us for the first time, figuring out how we use things, how we did sniper scans and cancel scans and all this in order to sell things on the auction house. And one of the things that happened with BFA was a massive increase in the amount of cancel scans. Not just everyone was excited about the Brutosaur and trying to make gold for the Brutosaur, but because Blizzard made max level gear, the raid quality crafted gear. There's three kinds of crafted gear. There's leveling gear, dungeon quality gear, and then raid quality gear. All the raid quality gear was BOP. You could only use the gear on yourself. You couldn't sell the gear, and this is the first time that that's ever really been the case. So that only left two options: the leveling gear and the intro I just dinged dungeon quality gear. And when they introduced the Benthic tokens and the Black Empire tokens that were 15 eye levels above the crafted gear, that made the crafted gear totally unnecessary. So essentially, you couldn't make gold with crafting professions anymore. You had, that's why we saw this huge drop off in the number of people using crafting professions, and instead 1/3 of all players have alchemy. So that's why there's no profit in alchemy. And jewel crafters couldn't make any gold, and it was just like because of this, because it was hard to make gold, because Blizzard removed all of the professions' ability to make gold, and along the same lines, Expulsum, which it's a whole different thing. Because it was hard to make gold, we had to sell farmed stuff and do cancel scans to make sure the few items that people could farm up, they were the ones that sold. When the demand drops off for the crafted armor, but there's the same number of people posting, in order to get your crafted armor to sell, you have to cancel your item and then repost it whenever someone undercuts you. And so that is the system that, because of the design of the professions and the way Blizzard hires there's no one profession designer. It's a temporary project that employees from other aspects of Blizzard come in, and they all work together for a month or two to design the systems, and then they leave and they go back to accounting or whatever. And it's like, oh, cool, I got to be a game dev for a little while. Well, now that wrecks the economy, and this whole thing happened because the design of BFA professions incentivized cancel scanning so much, because the people who designed it weren't invested and weren't a part of it for the lifetime of their employment at Blizzard. From there, Blizzard redesigned the auction house, put it up, but they didn't actually fix the back end. The people still needed to cancel scan. People still were just trying to make gold in any way they can by flipping and sniping, and so many more people. And they announced about the same time that they introduced the 8.3 auction house redesign, they announced that they were removing the Brutosaur. So now, fear of missing out, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, and there was so much traffic on the auction house that they again couldn't do anything about it. Essentially, they did a bad job. They said they needed to redesign the back end of the auction house, and they didn't. They didn't do a good enough job. So again, rather than taking accountability and saying, shit, we didn't do a good enough job. We're going to have to go back to the ground. We're going to have to go back to the foundation and actually not just rebuild the user interface, the user facing stuff, but we're going to have to actually redesign the back end and make it good, make it usable, so we can do some server merges. Instead of doing that, they said anyone who uses Trade Skill Master is automating, is automating to gain a competitive advantage. Now, we know from this video, from diving into everything that community support, customer support, reading through all the blue posts in this video, we know that automation means a very specific thing. Automation means you're hands off, not participating. Your hands are not on the keyboard, and your character is making gold. That's automated gold making. So when Blizzard announces that the TSM users are automating in order to, are using automated gameplay in order to gain a competitive advantage, and they blame. They're saying TSM users, gold add-on users, are botting. So anyone who uses Auctioneer, Auctionator, TSM, they're botting, which is, again, a lot of my friends, a lot of gold makers quit WoW at that point because they had enough. Every time Blizzard falls short of fulfilling their promises, they blame in the gold making sphere. They blame the gold makers for botting. And here, it's no different. People are trying to make gold in accordance to the systems that Blizzard created. And Blizzard says, no, you're all botting. Essentially. Like they very clearly and specifically didn't say that. They said other people are botting, so we're going to stop their gameplay. But they have the capabilities to stop botters without targeting regular legitimate multiboxers, and they aren't. So I am really frustrated with this. I know a lot of people in the Iceboxer Discord are done with WoW. They've ended their subscription, they've gotten a refund on all their accounts, and they're moving over to other games. It's frustrating to see people who love World of Warcraft. It sucks when the community support staff starts shitting on the community they're there to support. So I wish Blizzard would talk to us more. I wish Blizzard would be honest. Like, I remember back in Kata, Blizzard would say things that the community didn't necessarily like, but they said this is what's going to be good for the game as a whole. They weren't afraid of harsh truths to the masses, and it seems like Blizzard is catering to what the masses want. Most people don't understand the difference between synchronous key presses and automated key presses, and so they think this is a good move. Most people just remember getting ganked one time by someone who was unfairly playing 5 accounts at the same time, so they think this is good, or they wanted to farm something and someone was already there. So this has been a positive PR move for Blizzard, and it's a positive PR move that they did by losing a lot of subscribers and losing a lot of people who genuinely cared about their game. And I wish they didn't do that anymore. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you find a way to enjoy the game. If you want to make gold, final thing, here, we're closing out. If you want to make gold in World of Warcraft, you can. You do not need to multi-box. I hinted at it earlier, but I have been making as much gold as I want to make with just restocking my professions, with just using Trade Skill Masters. So if you're like, I don't know what to do now, I don't think I want to multi-box anymore, subscribe to the channel. Coming up to the Shadowlands launch and onward, I'm going to be making a fairly long series on Trade Skill Master, and just a bunch of much shorter videos talking about specific topics. so you guys can really understand the ins and outs of how to make gold with just one character and one account, or a couple characters on one account, how to make gold with your professions. And just as a general idea, it's about takes about 5 to 15 minutes a day to restock one profession. Once you have everything min-maxed and where it needs to be, it's about 5 to 10 minutes a day to repost items, and then it's about 15 minutes once a week in order to restock things. And you make about between 20 and 80,000 gold a day, depending. But that's it. About any profession does that. I've got lots of guides. Check the description. I'll put the links to the things that I talked about in this video down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Good luck and happy gold making. Mwah!